Hi, my name is Leah Day, and I'm here with my husband Josh, and this is a video for the Building Blocks Quilt Along. Today, Josh is stitching out block 6.1 at the zigzag and lines in a pinwheel block. So let's get started.
Oops. This one's been kind of interesting because I didn't outline it, the square perimeter, and I also haven't been going in the ditch lines.
So you didn't stitch any of these lines diagonally and into the block before you got started. But this has been going pretty quick though.
Yes, it's probably the quickest block I've done to date.
Awesome. So how do you like it, having not prepared it, having not stabilized it before you got started?
It's easier.
You don't think that the stitching in the ditch really is necessary, or just that?
Well, not for this block.
Not
I
for
could
this
see
block.
how some of them absolutely.
Excellent.
This one, as you stitch along, that's your stabilization right there.
Because you're working kind of in and out of the block with every pass.
Yep.
Awesome. And Josh is using that same kind of route that I took, which was to use the straight lines to stitch in and out of the center of the block, and then zigzag your way back out again, and use the outer edge to travel stitch to the next straight line section. And it really is going to flow very quickly. What do you say? You've been stitching on this for maybe about 10 minutes? Not even that?
It's around 8 minutes.
Yeah, so it's really quick.
And then that's about as close as I get to the corner edges. And then I just come along the border here, come down to my line, and this is really simple. You just start at point A and go to point B, and point B will be somewhere around here, down the center.
So just stitch down the line and then kind of bounce back and forth. And one important tip that I shared in my video, and I'll share to you right now, and that is to be careful as you hit that center point, because all of those lines are kind of building up in that spot, that you might even want to just not even hit that center point, just kind of come close to it and bounce back. And that will avoid, kind of stop the thread from building up so much there.
Yeah, I noticed that about halfway through that could be an issue. Piece of thread out of the way.
That was one of my mysteries as a beginner. I could not figure out why I was breaking thread. And then I stopped and looked at it, at my block or my quilt, and realized that I was stitching over an area that had 6 or 7 layers of thread in it. So it was kind of no wonder my thread was breaking. It was really dense in that spot.
This is interesting here. This forces me to control the speed.
And go very slowly as you stitch those little zigzags.
For some reason we're having some difficulty. Here we go.
Yeah, make sure it's moving.
That's the speed I'm comfortable with as you're in this tight area. But when it opens up to beyond 1 inch in scale, you can pick up your speed.
Yeah, and that's great speed control with your foot. I really like that. I think it's really good to try that sometimes. Just slow down and see if you can control the machine at that slow speed, and then also match your hands to it and see what happens.
And sometimes it's absolutely critical in small, tight areas.
Yeah. That is looking great. So, any tips about staying on the line better?
Maybe it's just my experience, but my experience is, as I advance along, but I've not had to rotate as often with this one.
Interesting. And I think, you're staying on the lines a lot better, too. I think that this is just mostly practice of stitching this many blocks.
Absolutely.
Having this many times repetition is the key. So that's it for stitching straight lines and zigzags in this pinwheel block. This was really, really quick, and you found it very speedy, too. Would you consider using this design if you had like a pinwheel quilt? A quilt completely filled with these types of blocks? Would you stitch this design in this quilt?
Definitely. This is one of the first designs that I know I feel comfortable with quilting out an entire quilt. The entire just to make it clear, that entire quilt will use this filler design alone. I would do one thing differently. I wouldn't the wiggly lines. I wouldn't drop the scale so much as happens in the center, just because I think that would get lost.
How the zigzags get really tight together in the center. You don't like that?
Oh no, I do, and it's great for this block. But if I was just doing that filler and that filler alone for that quilt, I would open it up a lot.
Make it bigger. So that's an idea for a modification. I know pinwheel blocks are popular. You might have one sitting on your shelf waiting to be quilted, and this might be a good idea to pull it out and stitch it up and try this idea. You never know when you're going to be ready to pull out those quilts, baste them up, and get it started. But I can tell you right now, you are ready. You can definitely do this. You just have to go get them ready to go and get on the machine and start quilting. So, my name is Leah Day, and I've been here with my husband Josh, and we've been stitching out a block for the Building Blocks Quilt Along. You can join in this quilt along at any time by picking up a copy of the Building Blocks quilt pattern. This pattern comes with 42 individual blocks you'll learn how to piece and free motion quilt. Pick up the pattern at leahday.com. Until next time,
let's go quilt.